In this video, let's just figure out how Tailwind is a game changer. Hi guys, my name is Manjunath and in this video we are going to talk about Tailwind, and finally we are going to talk about Tailwind. I wanted to make this video from long time. So the thing is, writing CSS is very hard. Upon that, more than writing CSS, for me personally, writing the class name was one of the toughest thing which I had to face. What to give class name? Shall I give it as main container, block container? Shall I give it as something else? Oh god, it was one of the very tough thing to do. So once I have given the class name, then the thing was I had to go back to again to my HTML file in order to find out what class name I have given. So many classes with so many sections, so I had no idea what to name, and even if I named it properly, I didn't remember the names. So I had to go back again into HTML, then again into CSS, and so on and so forth. So the toughest thing was for me to do that. Here is the Tailwind CSS approach. In Tailwind, everything is utility first. So the thing is, whenever you are writing a class, you have to build it from fundamental blocks. For example, flex is a class. So in order to make a element flex, you have to use that class. Then padding is a class, margin is a class. So you have to use my, mt, mx, mb for margin bottom and margin top and all these classes. There are so many classes available in Tailwind, and using these smaller classes, we are going to build our UI elements. So when I first heard of Tailwind, I felt like it's very difficult to write it, right? Like so many classes you have to write in order to achieve even small button. But the thing is, once you write it, you will understand that writing this many class name is easier than actually writing a custom class and going to CSS and editing and managing all the responsiveness, all those things. So it makes sense that using Tailwind, that is a framework with the basic classes, is very much easier, and it's the right approach, especially if you are going with the front end frameworks like React, Vue.js, or Angular, because it is going to make you feel like you are building a component as it's supposed to be built, because you are going to write a component once and you are going to use it everywhere else. So writing a long class name is not that much tough whenever you are using front end frameworks. So it makes sense to use front end framework with the Tailwind. Not necessarily like you don't have to use it, like it's not a must, but it's good to use front end framework so that you won't repeat classes a lot. So if you make button component, you can use that button throughout your project in order to use it. And another best thing about Tailwind is it's totally mobile responsive, meaning in order to make sure it fits fine on mobile, you have to write it for mobile first only, meaning you have to make sure it works properly on mobile. Then in order to give the desktop, you have to go back to CSS file and write media query. No, that's not actually true. You just have to go to HTML only wherever you wrote that classes, and you have to add prefix like md colon for medium sized and above devices, and LG if you want to add class for large screen devices, and XL for like more than extra large or something like that. So this approach is very useful, especially for beginners whenever they are using and trying to understand what's media queries, because whenever you are like using with regular CSS media queries, it's so much tough. You won't even understand, like so many media queries you have to write in order to make sure one feature works, and you have to remove, meaning unset some 10 styles, and you have to add certain styles. It's so much nightmare whenever we are using just CSS. But with Tailwind, it's visually represented properly so that we are able to understand what is actually happening, rather just assuming that it might work and just going to browser and seeing that it didn't work. Very sad. And now those experts like me will say that no, writing CSS is very useful because you can change pretty much anything. Yeah, fine. writing CSS is very easy. But in Tailwind, CSS is always available. It's not like Tailwind is something else where you don't or you can't write CSS. You can write custom CSS also. I myself used lots of custom CSS. And more than that, Tailwind even provides some utility using which you can literally create custom classes on the go. Meaning, imagine if you want to add more padding. So usually px has certain number of prefixes that you can use. For example, p1, p2, p3, p4, p5, p6, maybe p10 or p15. So if I want to add something like which is like p19, which might not exist, I can just write p dash and put one square bracket and write whatever the value I want, maybe in pixels, maybe in RAM. So using Tailwind with custom CSS or even on the go classes which they provide is also very useful utility, and I use it a lot because especially when I was using some other frameworks like Bootstrap, it was very tough to understand that only certain classes are available, and in order to create more classes I have to again go back to CSS and write it. In this I don't have to go back to CSS also. I can if I want to, but I can write it in the HTML file only. And another thing is they even provide at apply directive in CSS files, which I think uses post CSS. But the thing is, it's going to make writing component level classes very easy. If you feel like it's tough to write and you might feel like you have to copy paste so many classes again and again, you can always go to CSS file and add at apply directive, and you can write whatever the Tailwind CSS classes which you don't want to repeat, so that you will have only one class name like how we used to keep it in CSS. So they provide lots of utility also. I guess it's better if you go to tailwind.com website and just check it out yourself. So many classes are available, and in their homepage only they show like how it's very useful and what's actually their approach. Talking about the approach, I think what you get approach is much better rather than just dreaming or hoping that some CSS will work. So I guess you should give it a try to Tailwind. You might feel little bit tough to use it in the beginning, meaning person like me who was using like CSS a lot felt a little bit different when I was coding. But once you are familiar with it, you are going to love it and you are going to use it for every single project. You are not going to miss CSS because it's always available with Tailwind. So that's it for this video, guys, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.